I'm Carolyn Luey. I'm the GM of New Zealand at MYOB, and it's great to be here this afternoon to talk to you about MYOB's vision for the cashless society and how it will help New Zealand business to succeed and how we will create a more connected economy for New Zealand. We have the opportunity as a payments industry to leverage the latest in payments technology and transform the experience in B2B and B2C interactions and make payments easy, secure and intelligent. I can remember back to the excitement of opening my first bank account and going to the bank after school each week with my $2 in coins of pocket money, standing at the tiller, handing it over, watching the teller count those $2 and then give me my receipt with my balance ever so slowly growing by $2 every week. Sadly, my children will never have that experience because their $2 in pocket money they never actually ever get to touch. It is deposited into their bank account via my internet banking on my mobile app. And sadly, I think this is a reflection on our first step towards a cashless society, and future generations just may never have that experience. In fact, if you were designing the economy from scratch with today's technology, you probably wouldn't design it with physical cash or paper documents. You'd probably go cashless straight away. And with this emerging trend, MYOB has seen the opportunity to play in the payment space with the acquisition of Paycorp last year to provide payment services to our 1.2 million business customers across Australia and New Zealand and to truly enable a cashless society in the future. So why do we have physical cash today? Well, let's have a look back in time. Firstly, the first coin was introduced in 450 BC as a method of payment, while the first cheque was used for the first time in 1681, and paper money was introduced in 1775. The first cards were introduced in 1914, and prior to the internet, physical cash, cheques and cards were really the only convenient way of acting on a transaction and paying for something. But since the evolution of internet and technology, the pace of change has increased rapidly over the last 40 years, with internet payments, mobile payments, and now contactless payments becoming commonplace. And the pace of change is set to change even more rapidly. With the rapid rise of Bitcoin and digital wallets and the recent introduction of new payment platforms like using PayID and open banking, a whole wave of next-generation payment services are about to emerge. The payment ecosystem is evolving rapidly, and open platforms and innovation will accelerate us towards a cashless society. But who is really leading the way? Well, the pressure to go cashless is really coming from both governments and consumers. India has scrapped 86% of banknotes. Korea plans to stop minting coins by 2020. Sweden is already cashless, and China has seen exponential growth in mobile payments with WeChat. Millennial consumers in particular have grown up understanding the importance of cash and the convenience of managing it digitally. They expect to be able to pay just using a wave of their card or their phone and have receipts instantly appear on their screen. Public transport, parking meters, road tolls, the amount of transactions that can be handled without the need for cash is rising all the time. In fact, in New Zealand, we have the lowest level of cash in circulation relative to GDP and a leader in card transactions per capita, so we're already well on our way to a cashless society. Governments across the world have stepped up their fight against cash. Put it bluntly, cash transactions cost them lots in unpaid taxes, and in Australia, this black market is estimated to be in excess of $10 billion. That's a huge black hole in their federal budget. But we really need to think about consumers and businesses and what this really means for them. And so we did some research with New Zealand small businesses to find out their thoughts on a cashless society. There were some really interesting insights. More than 1/3 think we'll be cashless within a decade, and a further 42% think we'll be cashless within 2 decades. Just 1 in 5 businesses think we'll always need some kind of physical cash. We know that customers are moving to more convenient forms of payments and are on board with the move to a cashless society. Our survey found that just 4.4% of businesses are cashless already. But when we asked them what proportion of their transactions they would prefer to be in cash, they said 37% said they would prefer to be cashless right now. The average percentage of transactions that currently made up in cash come in at 27%, and just 3% of businesses say that they currently have all their transactions in cash. The most popular payment methods are bank transfers at 71%, online payments at 64%, cash at 56%, credit card at 40%, EFTPOS at 39%, while 37% are still accepting cheques and 12% are now accepting mobile payments. So there's definitely room for us to provide more payment services to minimise the need for cash payments. And a lot of these insights really resonate with many of the small business clients that I talk to. So a really great example is Eden Expresso in Mount Eden. He just cannot understand why consumers in a big city like Auckland, where you don't need cash for parking meters and you don't need cash to catch a bus, you need cash to pay for a coffee. His business is 90% electronic card payments right now, and he just sees that a cashless society would be hugely beneficial for him and his business. It's just a much more convenient way for him to do business. It improves his cash flow, it minimises the amount of time he has to go to a bank at every day and reconcile his cash to his tiller, and he can just really see those benefits. So I think, businesses are definitely on board from a New Zealand perspective. It's not a surprise to hear that convenience is probably the highest rated benefit of moving to a cashless society. 56% say it would be easier to electronically process and reconcile accounts, 54% say it would lead to faster cash flow, and 48% say it would be better security. But of course, we must be also aware of the barriers. 51% say customers prefer to pay in cash, and that is the top problem with moving to a cashless society. 1 in 4 say they don't want to change the way they do things, and while interestingly, just 2% say online security concerns are a barrier. Cutting-edge innovations in the payment space are already transforming the way money moves around from businesses to business and to consumers. Today we're seeing new payment solutions emerge, expanding the payment network. Shortly in New Zealand, MYOB will be launching MYOB Pay-By. MYOB businesses will be able to accept payments from their customers with the MYOB Pay-By Merchant Service Facility and enable invoice payments with a Pay Now button on invoices so they can get paid instantly. The power of electronic payments, further reducing the days to get paid. And our data from Australia shows that on average, businesses were waiting 43 days to get paid. But with invoices paid via MYOB online accounting software and MYOB Pay-By, this has brought this back to on average 10 days. This improves cash flow for businesses, and time again we hear from small businesses their biggest business pressure is cash flow. MYOB Pay-By offers fast and secure payment solutions for all types of businesses, from enterprise down to small businesses, and it helps them get paid faster, but it also provides a pain-free experience when it comes to payments. We have payment gateways, the simplest and fastest method of accepting real-time credit card and poly payments from websites or bill payment receivables. We have merchant service facilities, enabling businesses to accept and process their customer payments. Funds are settled into a merchant service facility before they're deposited into the business's bank account. Fraud management services. We use data analytics to deliver best-of-breed fraud management services, fighting that next generation of fraudsters, secured by blocking fraudulent payments and real-time evaluation of transactions to identify emerging fraud trends, as well as optimising fraud rules on the fly. We have invoice payments, with MYOB Pay-By merchant facilities enabling payments from the invoices sent by MYOB software to customers, enabling invoices to get paid faster. Face-to-face payments, secure payments for retail, hospitality and tradie clients via payment terminals and integration into point of sale. Phone payment services provided by 1-800 numbers to get paid over the phone with a PIN pad. All these services are very secure via PCI, and no matter what that payment touch point is, they can be done securely. With MYOB Pay-By, there's just a huge opportunity to enable a cashless society in the future, with all types of payments being simpler. And here's a range of them. Estimated 50 billion of invoices currently being paid by traditional payments from our customers to the end customers. an estimated 100 billion of invoices sent by larger businesses to MYOB customers, speeding up the time frame for them to get paid by providing payment settlement services and acting as an agent for emerging payment solutions. And payments from our 1.2 million of customers to larger businesses in the ecosystem, providing bill presentment and collection services, a one-stop shop for multiple payment types and PCI compliance. And finally, MYOB pays 1 in 3 employees in New Zealand. Payments from our customers to their employees and the tax office to create massive efficiencies in payroll payment flows. That's a huge ecosystem of payments that we can make frictionless and simple. So it's all about delivering world-class payment services and solutions that are simple and secure. And now thinking about the future and the payments experience, we're on the cusp of simplifying the end-to-end experience and really collapsing that value chain. Today, there's lots of players in that value chain to action a payment, but in a disintermediated world enabled by emerging payment technology and innovation, payments may look and feel quite different. Think about blockchain. Could enable a whole new ecosystem of payment services in the future. App to app, machine to machine, person to person, and voice recognition enabled. The options and use cases are just endless. And so this might feel like new and emerging technology, but we know once technology is embedded, you never look back. I go to retail stores these days and with an EFTPOS terminal, and they always have no pay wave here. And so you just get so used to that frictionless experience of using your contactless card. And so it almost feels hard now putting my card in, putting my PIN number and waiting for the machine to process it. It's like getting into a taxi versus an Uber. I now have to get my card out and the taxi driver, he needs to process the payment, he needs to give me a receipt, rather than that whole end-to-end experience being seamless, with the receipt even published straight to my expenses app. So a cashless society is a reality, and continued innovation of payment services, creating simple, secure and easy to use services for consumers and business will be a massively key driver. New Zealand has all the ingredients to be a leader in achieving a cashless society as fast adopters of new technology. It is really a case of when rather than if. We all have a role to play in the vision, and MYOB believe a cashless society will have benefits for both consumers, business, government and the overall economy. Thank you.